It's mid-2026 and Bitcoin still hasn't gotten back to its October 2025 high. It's been stuck below that for months now. But here's what I think is actually going on underneath that flat chart. I believe Bitcoin is heading toward $1 million. I know that sounds like a big claim, so let me explain why I think so instead of just throwing hype at you. There are three things that have been quietly building this whole time, even while the price went nowhere. And today we're gonna get into all of this. Now, quick note guys, this is financial entertainment and education, not financial advice, and nothing here is a guarantee of any price or timeline. Bitcoin is highly volatile, so do not invest any money you need for the short to medium term. Now, $1 million sounds like a lot, so how can Bitcoin ever reach that number? Let's try and visualize this. Right now, as I'm making this video, Bitcoin's trading around $66,000, which puts its total market cap at about $1.3 trillion. Market cap is just price times how many coins exist, so that's the total value of Bitcoin in the whole world added up. The price may have changed as you're watching this video, but the calculation is still the same. So what would it actually take to get to $1 million a coin? For simplicity's sake, let's just say that there will still be roughly 20 million Bitcoin by the time it reaches $1 million. So $1 million price means the whole thing would be worth around $20 trillion. Now that's a big number on its own, so let me put it next to something you can actually picture. Imagine all the world's wealth sitting in one giant warehouse worth about $900 trillion. Real estate takes up the biggest shelf, worth about $330 trillion. Bonds are on another massive shelf, $300 trillion. Stocks and other equities, $115 trillion. And then there's gold sitting at around $16 trillion and others. Currently, Bitcoin's portion has hovered between $1.3 trillion to $2 trillion, depending on Bitcoin's price. Looking at this chart, it's not too difficult imagining Bitcoin getting to 20 trillion. What do you think? It's not Bitcoin trying to take over that whole warehouse. It's basically Bitcoin growing into the same size shelf gold is already sitting on, or rather slicing off a little chunk of that bond stash here. Getting to a 2 trillion Bitcoin market cap itself doesn't sound impossible at all. The real question is how we'd actually get there. And that comes down to supply. Most people already know Bitcoin's supply is capped at 21 million coins. That's been baked into the code since Bitcoin was launched in 2009. If you want the full breakdown of Bitcoin's other fundamentals that make it valuable, you can join me in this video later. So the 21 million cap makes Bitcoin truly limited, unlike fiat currency that can be printed endlessly. But what makes it even scarcer is how much of that 21 million is even available to buy. Many of those Bitcoins are not available anymore. And here's what I mean. By the end of 2025, around 968,000 coins, or almost 5% of the supply, are believed to belong to Bitcoin's anonymous creator Satoshi Nakamoto, and they've barely moved. Another 1.61 million, or almost 8% of the supply, are considered permanently lost by their owners. That's in total 13% of Bitcoin that are unavailable, leaving only about 87% now in the hands of individuals, funds, and governments, left for everyone else to compete. The situation is a bit like a concert with a fixed number of seats, except a chunk of those seats are permanently reserved and sitting empty. The total seat count never changes, but what's actually available to new fans keeps shrinking. Plus, take into consideration over 20 million Bitcoin have already been mined, and there are only about 1 million fresh Bitcoin left to be mined and come into circulation. Businesses, funds, and ETFs and governments combined already own just over 16% of all Bitcoin. My own read on that is that these tend to be longer-term holders rather than people flipping it for a quick profit, mainly because of who they are. Pension funds and corporate treasuries usually don't day trade their core holdings. Now, who's actually buying Bitcoin nowadays, besides just individuals like you and I? Who are these forces that I believe will play a strong role in driving Bitcoin's price up to $1 million? First, and the biggest piece, is institutional money. Big investment firms like BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, Scotiabank in Canada, the kind that manages other people's retirement accounts and savings, finally starting to show up. And here's a number that actually surprised me when I read it. US investment advisors collectively manage $146 trillion. Of all that money, only 0.008% of it is sitting in Bitcoin right now, a tiny, tiny amount. And why is that good news for all of us who want Bitcoin to go up? Currently, Bitcoin already makes up roughly 0.2% of all global wealth, and investment firms that publish actual recommendations on this tend to suggest somewhere between 0 to 5% of a portfolio in Bitcoin. BlackRock recommends between 1 to 2% in Bitcoin, Bank of America 1 to 4%, and Fidelity recommends up to 5%. US investment advisors would need to increase their Bitcoin allocations by 20 to 500 times to reach a level that's consistent with Bitcoin's share of global wealth and what is recommended by investment firms. Think of it like a company that already approved the budget for a new department but hasn't actually hired anyone yet. The money's there, it just hasn't moved. It's sitting in bonds, equities, real estate, and gold. Of course, it makes sense. Advisors are handling other people's retirement savings, not their own money, so they tend to move very carefully and slowly before shifting anything. But things are starting to move. 90% of Barron's top 50 financial advisory firms already hold some Bitcoin. 2,000 US advisory firms are allocated to Bitcoin ETFs, and even Harvard, Yale, and Brown's endowments are confirmed holders. So just imagine what will happen to Bitcoin's price if institutions allocate larger and larger amounts to Bitcoin to live up to their own recommendation. Of course, I can't foresee what they will actually do, but just as a thought experiment, what if over the next years and decades, they just allocate 1%, just 1% of their 146 trillion investments into Bitcoin? That alone would be 1.5 trillion. 3% would be roughly 5 trillion. And if we ever arrive at 5%, that would be 7.5 trillion from institutions alone. And that's considering a constant investment amount, which will unlikely be the case. But what about 2026? The cumulative Bitcoin ETF inflows, so net money that has flowed into US spot Bitcoin ETFs since launch, has crossed 54 billion. And BlackRock's fund alone now holds over 750,000 Bitcoin, just under 4% of every Bitcoin that will ever exist. And yes, there have been multi-day stretches of outflows in 2026, recently driven by geopolitical risks, but the overall long-term direction has been up, and ETF inflows are slowly returning. Personally, I am optimistic that these inflows will return, so I continue stacking my Satoshis. Now, if you're wondering where and how to buy Bitcoin, let me share my favorite exchanges and methods with you. Kraken is really easy to use. I like their monthly subscription model that gives me $0 Bitcoin trading fees, which saves me a lot in fees. They also support recurring buys, which makes it easy for me to put DCA into action. You pick your amount, your frequency, and it runs automatically. And right now, you can even earn $25 in Bitcoin if you use my link in the descriptions below, if you deposit at least $100 US in fiat money and trade at least $100. For those of you in Canada, it's $10 in Bitcoin for depositing and trading at least 100 Canadian dollars in fiat money. If you use my link, I may earn a small commission at no additional cost to you. And if you're in Canada, an exchange I really like is NDAX. It's a Canadian regulated exchange with a simple, beginner-friendly interface. They have very low, transparent trading fees of only 0.2%. Even better, if you want to move your Bitcoin to cold storage for self-custody later on, their withdrawal options are cheap and fast, and they even have a totally free flex withdrawal option. If you want to try out NX, you can even earn a small bonus by using my affiliate link down below. For storage, I like to move a major part of my Bitcoin off exchanges into cold storage. I use both the Blockstream Jade and my favorite hardware wallet, the Cold Card, so that I can control my Bitcoin fully. And guys, I make sure that I add an extra layer of security, especially when I'm outside, when I'm checking my wallets and making transactions. So I make sure that one, I never use public Wi-Fi, I have my own connection and use a reliable VPN. The one I'm currently using is NordVPN, and at the moment you can get a special discount using my link down below. Note guys, the links in the descriptions are affiliate links, so I may earn a small commission if you use them at no additional cost to you. Now, the second force that I believe will drive Bitcoin to $1 million is regular businesses putting Bitcoin directly onto their balance sheet, the same way they'd hold cash or other reserves. In 2025, businesses added about 54 billion in Bitcoin to their balance sheets, more than every previous year combined. And the number of public companies holding Bitcoin grew 2.5 times over, up to 194 companies. Why would a company actually do this? Same basic logic as the institutions. If you think that a fixed supply asset is going to hold its value better than cash sitting sitting in the bank over the next decade, you put part of your treasury into it. It's not even a new idea. Companies have parked reserves in gold and foreign currency for decades. This is just a newer version of that. This kept going into 2026. Corporate treasuries added another roughly 62,000 Bitcoin in the first quarter alone, with Strategy, formerly MicroStrategy, leading most of that buying. And yes, I know it's pretty concentrated. Strategy alone added around 90,000 Bitcoin in 2026, bringing their holdings to over 800,000 Bitcoin, and in all likelihood, Strategy will keep on buying, while every other treasury company combined added only about 4,000. But still, other companies are gradually buying Bitcoin and adding to the pie, now holding around 1.3 million Bitcoin combined on their balance sheets. These include not only giants like Metaplanet and SpaceX, but also a range of smaller, less known companies. I believe we'll see many more companies buying Bitcoin in the future, but also don't forget governments. Governments' Bitcoin price increasing effect, you could say, is still quite small right now, but I think it has a lot of room to grow here. 23 nation states now hold Bitcoin, with 5 new ones added in 2025: Brazil, the Czech Republic, Luxembourg, Saudi Arabia, and Taiwan. A caveat though, most of that government-held Bitcoin isn't strategic buying. Instead, it seized Bitcoin from law enforcement cases. The US holds the most, over 328,000 Bitcoin, almost all of it from seizures, and it's the same story for the UK and China. Only a small handful of countries are actually buying on purpose. El Salvador has directly purchased over 7,500 Bitcoin, and Bhutan has built up around 6,000 through state-backed mining. But the tailwind here is real. Since 2020, 49 countries have made it easier to access Bitcoin, compared to only 4 that made it harder to buy Bitcoin. Also remember, there is the ARMA bill, a bill building on the previous Bitcoin Act, proposing that the federal government actively accumulate up to 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years and hold it as a formal national reserve asset. What do you guys think will happen when this bill is actually passed and if it is put into action? What are the chances that other countries might follow soon? And the US isn't even the only one getting moving right now. Brazil's Congress reintroduced a bill in February proposing a national Bitcoin reserve called Respit, aiming to acquire up to 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years. And we know about El Salvador, that became the first country to make Bitcoin legal tender in 2021 and has been steadily accumulating Bitcoin ever since. The government holds over 6,000 BTC and continues to buy regularly. And it's not just those two. Officials in places like the Czech Republic and Kazakhstan have publicly floated adding Bitcoin to their own national reserves too. Overall direction seems to be that more countries are discussing it rather than discouraging it, so it's hard to ignore. These are the 3 things I think will give Bitcoin a good chance to get to $1 million. But of course, there are no guarantees, guys, so remember this important thing. The $1 million target is not a prediction. Even if $1 million eventually happens, like I personally believe, we don't know when. It could be 2030, it could be 2040, it could be 2050. Nobody knows for sure, including me. But let's do a quick calculation to put things in perspective. If Bitcoin just grew at 20% a year, which is actually a fairly conservative growth rate by its own historical standards, it would take roughly 15 years to go from 66,000 to $1 million. That puts us somewhere around 2041. If we assume 30% growth per year, it would take about 10.5 years, which would be 2036 or 2037 until we get to $1 million. So it really depends on what your personal assumptions are about how fast Bitcoin will grow. So since there's no certainty on anything and Bitcoin is volatile, especially in the short term, make sure you do not invest any money you will need in the next 5 or even 10 years into Bitcoin. And always make sure you have a proper emergency fund before you invest in it. So to recap, guys, 3 things pulling in the same direction, pushing Bitcoin potentially to $1 million. Institutional money, corporate treasuries, and governments all competing for a Bitcoin supply that's fixed at 21 million, but shrinking on the side that's actually available to buy. None of this is a guarantee, but if I were you, I'd keep my eyes wide open. And underneath all of it is the same reason any of this matters in the first place. Governments keep printing more and more money, and a fixed supply asset is a direct answer to that. As for me, I'm not selling. I'm continuing to stack my sats, same as always. Tell me, guys, are you more convinced that Bitcoin will reach 7 figures after watching this? Are you still skeptical? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. And if you need a refresher on Bitcoin's fundamentals that make it truly valuable, and in my opinion the best asset to invest into in the long term, then join me in this video next.